Let's crack open my vintage bottle of Campari today, guys, and let's give it a try in a vintage Negroni as well, because I now have a vintage bottle of vermouth and of gin, all from the 1970s. But that wouldn't be as fun if we would not have anything new to compare this with, so I bought the same vermouth, same gin, and of course, brand new Campari. So we're gonna be able to see if there's any differences and most importantly, if the vintage trend lives up to the hype. So let's start with the gin. Now, before I try anything, big shout out to Vintage Cocktail Club who generously sent me the bottle of Campari. If you are into vintage spirits, this guy has a great selection. I'm gonna link his profile in the caption. So now let's try the gins, both Gordon's, one from the 1970s and one brand new from the modern era. So Gordon's gin is known for its juniper forward flavor profile, and here we get it on both sides. I feel like the old one has, I don't know, a little bit more bite to it. It's not harsh, it's just a little bit more intense in flavors. It also has a nice lemon kick to it, which I really appreciate actually. So we're up to a good start here, I feel, because I really like the vintage one. Now let's try the vermouth. Here I have the feeling that we're gonna have way more noticeable differences, and not necessarily because they might have changed the recipe over time, but mostly because it's a wine-based product and usually that tends to evolve quite drastically over time. So I think we're gonna have a pretty intense difference. Already starting with the color, the vintage one is way darker than the new one. This one, the new one, I see through it really easily, whereas the vintage one is almost pitch black, even if I look through a light beam. So that's pretty interesting. On the nose, no big surprise here. I'm familiar with the Martini Rosso, so we get that bright aromatic, bright herbs aromatic. So thyme, sage, rosemary. Then we get bitter, sweet orange notes and a little bit of spices and caramel as well. Whereas on the vintage one, the freshness is not there anymore. It's like, it's a little bit oxidized, but it's not unpleasant. It has a little bit of that sherry vibe, if you are familiar with sherry. We get some sweetness, a little bit of toffee, burnt caramel, stuff like that. It's quite complex, but it's not bright and fresh anymore. Whoa, that is good. And like I said, I don't think the difference is due to the switch in terms of recipe over time, but mostly to the aging notes or the maturation in the bottle of all the botanicals and the fact that it is wine-based, so it kind of evolved and it also melded quite a lot and it turned into something bolder, a little bit more bitter, and it's just wonderful. I really like that, and I have the feeling so far that the Vintage Negroni is gonna be quite delicious. Now it's time to crack open the big boy, the Vintage Campari. I'm super excited and also a little bit nervous. I hope it's gonna be good. Let's give it a try. New Campari. Vintage Campari. The color of the vintage one is much darker. If you look at the bottle, there's some cloudiness on the glass. Kind of if the dye of the Campari, the natural dye of the Campari, which was back then made out of like that little bug, what's it called again? So it's cochineal. Cochineal, I don't know if I pronounce it well, and it left kind of a deposit on the bottle, and now it's kind of made the bottle a little bit like dirty. It kind of stained the bottle as well. Anyway, we don't care about the color that much. All we want to know is how it smells and how it tastes. So let's start with the classic one, the one we're all familiar with. So we get a lot of bitterness, some woody notes, bitter orange, gentian. We do get a lot of gentian. I feel more gentian than orange. A lot of people say that the orange is like the dominant aromatic on the nose. I do get more like quinine and gentian, personally. On the palate, we get that syrupy bitterness, like a beautifully balanced, bittersweet liqueur. It's really nice. Oh, that smells so good. Wow. It is completely different. It smells like paradise. I get way less like earthy notes on the nose. It seems like it's gonna be less bitter. It's almost a little bit candy-like in a good way, and I really love it. Let's dive in. Oh, okay. Oh my God. I never tasted anything like that. It's like it's not even the same thing. It's crazy, guys. Wow. Like, I'm extremely happy. I was not expecting that big of a difference. Like I said, on the nose, I was having a feeling it wouldn't be as bitter as the Campari we know now. And it's in fact way smoother on the bitterness. It has some alpine notes, almost like Genepi and Chartreuse-like. It is fantastic. Really hard to describe like this in front of the camera, tasting it for the first time. But let me tell you guys, I would pay the big buck for this. It is incredibly good. I just feel like drinking it neat. I don't want to mix it in a Negroni, but I will for the sake of science. But I am probably gonna hold on to this after that just to sip as is, because it is exquisite. Almost like, it's more like an Amaro now than it is a bitter aperitif. I'm stoked. Cool, let's make a Negroni. Let's make 2 Negronis. Let's do it. All right, so let's taste the modern Negroni. I really get the juniper coming through from the Gordon's gin. It's actually a cheap gin and pretty nice for classic cocktails. It has that beautiful juniper kick and I love it. It's a classic Negroni. It tastes like what I'm used to and I love it. But now, let's try the vintage one. I wish you could be here with me giving this a try. I'm confused. I told you the gin, the vintage one, had more kick, more bite, more body. It was a little bit bolder in flavor, but we don't taste it as much as in the new Negroni. It's completely different and it actually tastes like cherry Twizzlers. It's super fruity. It is not as sharp, not as bright. I do taste a little bit the oxidation from the vermouth, almost a little bit more in the Negroni than I was tasting it alone. Maybe it's because it's opened up because of the dilution, but don't get me wrong, it's oxidized in a good way. Kind of makes it a little bit dry and it just feels good. It's really, really nice. About the Campari now, which is probably what y'all are waiting for in terms of feedback, if you're still watching, because that's probably gonna be like a 3 minutes long reel. I'm not even sure the app will let me post it. The Campari is very smooth. I know a lot of people get offended when we use smooth in a tasting, but it's smooth, it's melded. People who don't love Campari because it's too bitter would actually love this. I don't know if it has something to do with the maturation, the aging, how long it's spent in the bottle, and how all the flavors melded together, or if it's just a thing of recipe that changed. Campari claims they didn't change the recipe, so it's probably due to the fact that it's an old bottle, just because like the flavors evolved over time, which just makes this vintage bottle of Campari and all the other ones probably so worth searching for, because probably another one will not taste the same. Like, they will probably all be different because of the environment they were stored in. Everything could have an impact on that. So that makes the vintage trend, for me, living up to the hype And that's the conclusion. I hope you like this reel, which is completely different than what I'm usually making. I wanted to make this real bad since I received this bottle of vintage Campari. Thank you very much, Vintage Cocktails Club. It is much appreciated. This is a thing of beauty, and I will really enjoy this bottle till the last sip. So guys, vintage bottles are worth it, even though they actually cost sometimes 10 times more than the bottles we can buy in stores nowadays, but it's a travel back in time. Or no, it's even more complex than that. It's just a cool experiment. So if you can afford it, if you can find a bottle, just do it. It's worth it. Cheers.